A specific pattern has emerged in the comments on our recent videos that we need to address directly. Many of you who identify as high empathy individuals, the supersensors and the orchids, are also the ones who seem to attract the most damage from a specific type of person. You talk about partners who twist reality until you question your own memory, friends who use your deepest secrets against you the moment you have a fight, or family members who push you until you break and then label you as the unstable one. You keep asking the same painful question: why do they do this? Why don't they care how much they hurt me? We often label these people as toxic, manipulative, or difficult, but psychology has a more precise, clinical taxonomy for this. They possess what researchers call the dark tetrad of personality. Today we are going to look at what is actually happening inside their heads. When you deal with a manipulative person, you make a dangerous error. You assume they are like you. You assume that if you just explain your pain clearly enough, they will feel it and they will stop. But the research shows their hardware is fundamentally different. Psychologists have identified 4 distinct traits that make up this dark personality profile. First is narcissism. Narcissism is unique because it correlates with high social desirability. They are often the most extroverted, open, and charismatic person in the room. But this charm is superficial. Beneath that veneer of confidence lies a fragile defensive structure. If you criticize them, or even just stop clapping, the mask falls off, and you will see a rage that is absolutely terrifying. Second is Machiavellianism. These are the cold strategists. While a narcissist acts on impulse to get attention, a Machiavellian plays the long game. They can wait months to execute a plan. They view you not as a person with rights, but as a chess piece to be positioned. If lying to you serves their goal, they will lie without blinking. To them, morality is just an inconvenience. Third is psychopathy. This is characterized by high impulsivity and a profound lack of fear or remorse. They simply don't have the social brakes that stop them from hurting others. They take risks that would terrify a normal person because their amygdala simply does not light up with fear. They act on immediate impulse, seeking stimulation regardless of the cost to you. And the fourth, which researchers have recently added, is everyday sadism. This is the most terrifying one. It explains the behavior that seems to have no purpose, like the trolling or the petty cruelty. For a sadist, your suffering is the goal. Watching you squirm triggers a release of dopamine in their brain. They hurt you because it feels good. But the biggest question is always, are they born this way or made this way? One of the hardest things for empathetic people to accept is that some of these traits are not trauma responses. They are biological. Behavioral genetics and twin studies have given us a clearer picture of where this darkness comes from. Psychopathy, for instance, has a massive genetic component. Research suggests up to 70% of the variance is heritable. These individuals are often born with a hypoactive amygdala. They didn't learn to be fearless. They were wired that way. Machiavellianism, on the other hand, is often learned. It is a survival strategy forged in a cold or unpredictable childhood environment. They learned early on that trust gets you killed and manipulation gets you fed. This combination of genetic predisposition and environmental triggering creates a personality structure that is incredibly resistant to change. Now we need to look at the mechanism of the trap. You have probably wondered, how can they know exactly how to hurt me if they don't have empathy? And how can they be so cruel one minute and then perfectly charming the next? It feels like they have a switch. According to fMRI studies, they do. It is called empathy dissociation. Empathy is not a single function. It splits into 2 distinct neural pathways. Cognitive empathy is the ability to intellectually understand what someone else is feeling. It is how you read a room or predict a reaction. Affective empathy is the ability to actually feel that emotion yourself. It is what makes you wince when you see someone else get hurt. Most manipulative people have extremely high cognitive empathy. They are experts at reading you. They know exactly what makes you tick. They know your insecurities better than you do. But they have a severe deficit in affective empathy. They know you are in pain, but they do not feel it. In fact, fMRI studies show that for people with high psychopathic traits, the empathy centers of the brain have a default off switch. But the worst part is, they can voluntarily flip it on when they need to. During the love bombing phase, they toggle the switch. They mimic your emotions. They mirror your soul. But it is a performance. Once you are hooked, they flip the switch off. They use their understanding of your emotions not to connect with you, but to calibrate their control. They are not looking for a partner, they are looking for a target. This brings us to a harsh reality. They didn't choose you by accident. Predators scan for signals. And because you are a person of high empathy, high agreeableness, and perhaps high sensitivity, you light up on their radar. They look for people who are willing to forgive, people who always try to see the good in others, people who will project their own conscience onto the abuser. If you are an echoist, someone who is uncomfortable taking up space or stating their needs, you are the perfect lock for their key. Your refusal to assert your own needs gives them the unlimited space they crave to expand their ego. They test you early. They push a small boundary just to see if you will hold it. If you explain away their behavior, if you apologize for their mistake, you pass the selection process. And then the trap closes. They use a tactic called intermittent reinforcement. It is the most powerful addiction mechanism known to psychology. If they were cruel 100% of the time, you would leave. So they aren't. They give you breadcrumbs, a moment of cruelty, followed by a flash of that intense, perfect charm. Your brain becomes addicted to the unpredictability. You stay in a state of hypervigilance, constantly pressing the lever, trying to win back the nice version of them. This creates a traumatic bond. It is not love. It is a biological addiction to the source of your pain. Once the bond is established, the dismantling begins. Gaslighting is their primary tool. It is not just lying, it is perspecticide, the death of your perspective. They deny events that you know happened. They rearrange the furniture of your memory. They tell you that you are crazy, that you are too sensitive, that you are imagining things. Over time, you start to experience what neurobiologists call structural brain change. Chronic emotional abuse shrinks the hippocampus, the area responsible for memory and context. It enlarges the amygdala, keeping you in a permanent state of fight or flight. So you end up in a state of permanent brain fog and anxiety. You physically cannot think clearly enough to plan your escape. After hearing all of this, you might feel a strange pang of envy. You might think to yourself, I wish I could be that cold. I wish I could turn off my feelings and just win. It is easy to think this way because modern society often romanticizes these traits. We see their fearless dominance in the boardroom. We see how they hack social situations without anxiety. It looks like a superpower. It looks like a cheat code for life. But you need to understand the hidden price tag of that armor. If you view life as a zero-sum game, then yes, they are winning. But if you view life as a human experience, they are disabled. Because of their unique brain chemistry, they are stuck on what psychologists call a hedonic treadmill. They have to chase higher and higher spikes of stimulation, power, conquest, risk. They run faster and faster just to feel anything at all. But they are biologically blocked from accessing the other side of the spectrum. They cannot feel the calm, warm, oxytocin-based joy that you get from a moment of trust or a beautiful sunset. They are chemically incapable of peace. They live in a relationship desert. Every person in their life is a transaction. They never know what it means to be truly loved, because to be loved, you have to be known, and they can never let anyone in. There is a famous metaphor in psychology that describes them perfectly. They know the words, but not the music. So do not envy the machine. It runs fast, but it runs on empty. Now, what do you do with all this information? I am laying this out in stark detail for a reason. You have been trying to solve this problem with warmth, with patience, and with communication. But you cannot use software to fix a hardware problem. You are playing for connection, they are playing for control. You are projecting your own empathetic heart onto someone who simply does not have the hardware to receive it. Understanding this is the first step to breaking the spell. When you look at them now, switch your lens. Don't look at them with anger. Anger is still a form of attachment. Look at them with clinical detachment. When they rage, see the narcissistic injury. When they lie, see the Machiavellian strategy. When they hurt you with a smile, see the sadistic dopamine hit. Realize that their behavior says absolutely nothing about your worth. It is simply what a machine built this way does. You are targeted not because you are weak, but because you are high-yield supply. You have the light they lack, but that light belongs to you. This video was just the diagnosis. We needed to map the territory before we could plan the escape. If you suspect you are dealing with one of these types, I have created a free manipulation pattern checklist for you. It's based on clinical scales to help you objectively spot the red flags so you can stop doubting yourself. You can download it via the link in the description. In the next video, I will walk you through the psychological strategies that help people handle these personalities. We will explore ideas like the gray rock method and look at how to finally break that trauma bond. But for today, just breathe. You know the truth now, and the truth is the beginning of freedom. I will see you in the next one. If this analysis has changed the way you view the toxic patterns in your life, please subscribe and like the video. We are uncovering the psychological truths that others try to keep buried. Protect your peace and reclaim your power. The next step in your journey toward freedom will begin very soon.